Hello, Spurs fans.
This is the first episode of From Jersey to the Lane. This is
Anya.
and I'm Alon, and we live in New Jersey, and we're big Spurs fans, and we've decided to start this channel to talk about all things Tottenham Hotspur. Fortunately, today, our first episode,
Got a big W.
Big win, and this is From Jersey to the Lane. We happen to play today
at the.
I know we did,
Okay.
but I'm just going to talk about the lane, right? So we had a game today at the other lane, Bramall Lane, against Sheffield United.
What a coincidence.
Yeah, big one for us, and this was really a big win to get. It seemed like these were games that we've could have gone either way, and this was a big win to get for sure. So we're going to talk about our impressions of the game and do some player ratings and talk a little bit about the upcoming games and go from there.
Yeah.
All right. So Ans, what do you think in general about the game today?
So going into the game, these games are always really hard for Spurs, especially because we're always expected to win them. And I feel as though, like against Fulham, for an example, last week, we were fully expected to win that game, and then we scored early, sat back, and dropped 2 points. So overall, the big takeaway for me is that it's so important, and as we saw today, that's why we won, that after we score that early goal, we keep pushing. And I think a lot of people have been saying this for the past few months, that we score early and then we just stop. And then the other team just keeps pressure and pressure and pressure. And eventually we concede. Not because we're playing badly, but because we make mistakes. And that was my big takeaway from today's game. So what about you, Dan?
So yeah, I think in general, it seemed like we were kind of almost heading in the direction of the kind of game that we've seen over the last month, where we've gotten early leads and then we've had a lot of pressure, and then ultimately we concede. We went up 2 goals, and then we came out in the second half, and it seemed like it was kind of the same old story. They got us on the back foot. Ultimately they scored a goal, and it seemed like, unless Ndombele, if he hadn't have scored that amazing goal, I have a little bit of fear that we might have been back in the same boat. So let's take a step backwards and just talk a little bit about what you thought of our lineup. How did you think, were you upset with how we lined up? Did you think it was a good lineup?
So the lineup upset me at first. One thing that you'll get to know as you watch us is that I'm a big Musa Sissoko fan. Favorite player ever. So I was a bit disappointed that he wasn't in the lineup today, but I understand why Mourinho made those changes. I think we were trying to play more of an attacking lineup, as we saw in the game. So I'm not too upset about that. The only other part of our lineup that confuses me a little bit is I don't know if Alderweireld is injured. I don't think he's injured because all of the online reviews and journalists like Alistair Gold and all those people predicted Alderweireld in their lineup. So I don't think he's injured, and he hasn't played the past few games, which confuses me because I think that he's our best central defender. What about you?
Yeah, so I agree with you. It's a little bit confusing as to why he's not playing. I don't know if maybe Jose's really looking towards the future and knowing that, Alderweireld's a little older and maybe trying to save him for stretches of time. But, there was never...
we signed him for a reason. We re-signed him for a reason.
Right, so but maybe in their mind that reason was we need to have an extra central defender, but he's not going to be the one playing all the time. I think he's going to be a big part of the team. It's a little, I don't feel like there was ever a point where he wasn't playing well.
Right.
And it's surprising that he's out of the lineup. But, these things seemed like they change all the time with Spurs, and you think, oh my God, this guy's never playing, and then he's back. So, in terms of the lineup itself, I think playing with the back three, with the wing backs, we've seen them do this before, and I think it worked very well today. Both Sergi and both of the Serges, Serge Aurier and Sergio Rodon, were able to really bomb up the sides, particularly in the first half.
I think that made a really big impact.
It did. We definitely got I'd say,
Caught out.
caught out. Yeah, for sure. And the danger, sometimes the back three turns into a back five and we're not offensive at all. That wasn't really the case today. I think we just wound up getting into situations where maybe a better team that had better clinical finishers would have taken advantage, but that's why we did it against Sheffield United, because we know that they're really not that team. So we got to get away with it. I think in general, the lineup was strong. He put out a really strong lineup, and they were fortunate and got the W.
Going back to center defenders, Dad, how did you think that Joe Rodon played?
This was his second start in the Premier League.
Yeah.
I thought that he played pretty well. It seemed to me like he got caught out a couple times and started to make some pushing runs and dribbling the ball, and some of his passing accuracy was a little off. He made a couple really, really good recovery shot blocks and saves, and this is a challenge for him to come back in. I'd say for somebody playing in their second Premier League start, he was pretty great. And I think he has hopefully a big future. I mean, I think if he can get a little bit more comfortable on the ball and get a little bit more accurate with his passing, which I think today actually was an issue for for a bunch of people, particularly with some of those more penetrating passes.
Yeah.
I think Højbjerg, I think
not like him.
Yeah, there was I think his passing accuracy was really a little off. Those things happen, but I think in general, Rodon played well. What do you think?
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, for his second start in the Premier League, I think he was extremely promising on the defensive side. However, I do agree that there were a few moments, I think especially in the first half, I can think of two specific moments where he received the ball from Dyer and was going forward and he got dispossessed, or the ball got intercepted, and then Sheffield was able to counter. And again, if we were playing, say, Liverpool or Manchester United or Man City, I think definitely we would have been punished for those mistakes.
Okay. What do you think about the goals we scored today?
So, first goal, huge credit to Sir Darye for that header. I thought it was a really nice goal, and that is just a perfect example of the way that Mourinho is playing, the way that Spurs are playing. Those are the chances that need to be taken advantage of. We really haven't been doing that lately, and I think that was super important. Set pieces, great opportunities, but a lot of times we just don't have quality in those areas, but we really delivered there today.
Okay. What do you think about Kane's, the second goal?
Classic Kane, really vintage Kane. I thought it was a great goal. Ramsdale maybe should have got to it. It wasn't that far away from him. But overall, really nice turn, beat a bunch of defenders, and good press from Son building up to it and Højbjerg. So overall, I really thought that goal was good. And then Ndombele's goal, that was, I think, the most important goal of the game, because once we went 2-1, once Sheffield scored, and obviously you have to give credit to McGoldrick for that goal because he did really well to get that header, but Davies literally didn't even jump for that ball. So,
yeah. Which has essentially been
this
wasn't a set piece, but we've now given up a bunch of goals in the same manner.
And I feel like they're all headers.
Yeah, we've given up a lot of headers. I'm trying to think about the last non-header goal that we've given up.
There aren't many.
It's been set pieces, and in general, the set pieces have been header goals.
So we have to really work on that, because especially if we're trying to keep these clean sheets and not be if we're trying to close off games early or even mid-second half, we can't be giving away much more goals like that. But Ndombele's goal, don't even have words for it. I didn't even think he was shooting. I thought it was a mistake. But then I rewatched it and I was like, wow.
Yeah, pretty awesome. Let's just talk about somebody who didn't score today but had a couple chances, Sonny. it seems like it's been a couple of days. Maybe he's been a couple games a little bit off form. Has had a couple, really good chances in the last couple games.
Yeah. I mean, again, in the way that we play, we were playing Sheffield today, so I think we got a little bit lucky in our chances. But against any other team, we saw against Fulham, in the 70th minute, Son had a perfect chance to close the game, done, Spurs win, take home all 3 points. But he didn't take that chance, he didn't punish Fulham, wasn't cutthroat enough, and that really came back to bite us. And today, we got lucky that it didn't. It definitely could have if Sheffield took their chances better. But 7th minute to go up 2-0 when you're 1-on-1 with Ramsdale. And it was a hard angle,
yeah.
But if you had told me 1 month ago or 2 months ago that Son would have been in that position, I would have said 10 out of 10 times he would score.
Right. And the reality was he was actually super bright. There's been a couple games where I think he's gotten a little bit missing. He was really bright today. He made some really good runs.
Yeah, I thought he played a great game.
It's like that, that finishing quality where I think we are a little bit spoiled, with both him and Kane. I mean, Kane also had, situations today where, you'd expect him to put the ball on target. And again, this has been a couple of games now with some headers that are a little bit loose. Obviously it's like it's a little bit nitpicking because they're such amazing players and they've been so good for us. But we need this team needs them to be able to be clinical all the time, unfortunately. The cool thing today, though, we got 2 goals from people that weren't Heung-min Son and Harry Kane, which is pretty awesome. We haven't had that in a while. So, ultimately for me, I feel like, this was 3 points. We needed to get the 3 points. However we got it. It keeps us in the mix. Other teams have been, winning, later today after the Spurs game, Liverpool and Manchester United, they tied. So, people are kind of all hovering around and really we're keeping ourselves in the mix here. Do you want to go through some player ratings?
Yeah, why not?
Okay, why don't we do that quickly and then we'll just talk a little bit about what's coming up. So, how do you want to do this? You want to do just like each player and then you give your rating and I'll give my rating?
Yes.
And if you want to say anything special about them?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll start in the back with Hugo Lloris.
I said Lloris got a 7 because he didn't really have that much to do. Made some good catches off of corners, and the goal he really couldn't do anything about. The only thing that made me down his score was that his distribution at like 1 or 2 points was a bit off.
He had a pretty big giveaway in the first half that they almost capitalized on it. I also give him a 7. I think he was solid. No big mistakes other than that one. I think distribution, he came out, controlled his box well. Good performance. How about Serge Aurier?
I gave Aurier an 8 because I thought he worked really hard. Obviously, very important goal to open the game for us, kind of kick off our momentum. And I thought he played a good game.
All right. I also gave Sergi an 8. I thought he...
Great minds think alike.
Obviously getting the goal was a big one. He was very effective, particularly in the first half, getting up to the side. No real stupid fouls by him today, which for me is always a big thing. He played, solid, smart defense, and, it was a good performance.
And one more thing that I want to mention about Aurier, just with him and Doherty, how do you feel about, for me, there's no question that Aurier should be the one playing. I think he's, at the moment, a million miles better than Doherty. What do you think about that?
I would agree. And I don't know that I was going to think, I thought that coming into the year, but Serge, he has made a couple big mistakes, but other than those big mistakes that he's made, and it's like not fair to totally judge him on those. He has been the better player. So.
And I think he's gotten much better. Last year, a lot of stupid tackles.
Yep. No, it's been a good year so far. So, all right, Joe Rodon.
I gave Rodon a 7 just because, like I said earlier, great defensively, not so good attacking.
All right, I also gave him a 7. We already talked a bunch about him, so we'll move on. Ben Davies.
Davies, I gave a 7.
Okay. like just a pretty solid. I also gave him a 7. Are we the same so far on everything?
Yeah.
Wow.
I just didn't. Davies, he was fine. He was there.
Yeah, he played a solid game.
Yeah.
There were like no major mistakes. He did not get up for the header on the goal.
Right.
Well, I think the goal. McGoldrick really got in kind of between Dyer and him, and he didn't get up there. But I guess I could have knocked him down a little bit for that. But I gave him a 7. So Eric Dyer.
Dyer, I gave an 8. I thought he played a very good defensive game. No mistakes, really.
I gave him a 7. So again, nothing. I didn't think there was anything spectacular. I think he could have done better, probably in tracking the run on the goal as well. So I think he got a 7. Højbjerg.
I gave Højbjerg a 6 because, and that might be a little harsh, but for him, by his standards, the way he's been playing the whole season, I thought he had an awful game.
Wow.
I'm sorry.
His distribution.
His distribution, and that's a big part for me about
it is,
what
but
he
it's
does.
not really why he's on the team. Like, he does such a job.
I know.
Like, just breaking up plays. And
maybe I was a little harsh, but I was shocked at his performance today. I think he can do so much better than that, and I really like Højbjerg, so I'm being a little harsh on him.
Okay, I gave him a 7. It's not like I gave him a 9, but I think he played it wasn't his best game. I also think just like the other piece with him, and we saw this against Fulham. That like quality in the final third definitely lacks. So every once in a while he gets an opportunity to be close to like the goal, and he certainly hasn't really taken advantage of that. All right, Sergio Reguilon.
I gave Reguilon a 7. I think he played a good defensive game, good attacking game, nothing spectacular.
Okay, I gave him an 8. I thought he really, got particularly in the first half. Both him and Serge, I thought in the first half really did a fantastic job. Getting into space, opening up on the wings, and he played solid all around.
Yeah.
All right, and Ndombele.
Ndombele, I gave an 8. I thought he played a average game, but his goal really made me boost his score.
Yeah, I also gave him an 8. I thought he was solid. It was actually great to see him get a full 90 minutes here, which he hasn't really done
at all.
Yeah, he's always been taken out, and he really was like sitting right there in front of the back, the back three. I thought he played a really solid game. All right, we haven't talked about Steven Bergwijn at all. So, what do you think about Bergie today?
I love Bergie. I think he works his butt off every single game. I think he has great ideas. Obviously, he got a very important assist with that little scoop assist.
Yeah.
I gave him a 7 because this game and definitely the past few games, he gets big chances and he doesn't really take them.
It's true. It's hard. It's harsh because, he works so hard, and I think that they really are. They're a much better team when he's on the field.
I agree.
I
think
it
he
seems
brings their energy up,
yeah.
And all the front three, I think, are amazing defensively.
Yeah, they all do. They all do put in a shift, if you will. So I gave him a 7. I thought it was a good game for him. Again, it's just like you want to see him put one of these balls away and take advantage of an opportunity.
I feel like he needs one, and then he's off.
All right, and what'd you give Sonny?
Sonny, I gave a 7 for similar reasons as Bergwijn.
Okay, we talked about Son before. I actually gave him a 6, which I'm thinking about now. Maybe after I spoke about all that other stuff, I think maybe it's a little bit harsh. He is there to put balls away, and he just wasn't able to do that. And then Harry Kane, who we also haven't really spoken about other than his goal. What'd you think?
I thought Harry Kane had a really good performance. I think he provided good balls for people that created a few chances that maybe we should have scored on if we had played them a little better. And his goal, obviously, really good goal. We spoke about that earlier. And overall, I think the past few games he hasn't been as good, and I think today was a good confidence booster for him. I thought he played really well. Actually, I gave him an 8, one thing that I was a little surprised about, I went to see Alistair Gould's player ratings earlier, and he gave Son an 8 and Kane a 7, which I was a little surprised about.
Huh. I think thinking about how Son played today, he
played very well.
He really got himself into great positions, and I think he had a lot of energy. I gave Kane a 9, so I thought Kane did very well, both of the on the offensive side, and again put in so much work on the defensive side of the ball. And his goal to me was just like a spectacular goal. He received the ball perfectly. He burst into space and he finished like he finishes. He should have had he had a couple other opportunities where he should have put the ball on net, but I thought he played a great game. All right, so that's our player ratings. That's kind of wrapping up talking about Sheffield United.
Yeah.
Again, big win.
3-1.
Yep, we'll take it. So coming up for Spurs, they actually have a little bit of a chunk of time off here, and then the next game is a week from tomorrow against Wickham in the FA Cup. And so it's a little bit of a bummer that game got pushed to Monday, because I think the rest of all the other games are Saturday and Sunday. And it's the only game that's getting played on Monday, and I think we play Liverpool the Thursday after.
They're playing Sunday.
So they
have an extra day of rest.
They will have an extra day of rest. So hopefully it's a situation where
we don't have to play all our Kane or Son or.
Yeah, I mean, if we can get away with playing a similar type team that we played against Marine, and again, I don't know that Jose is going to do that, but if we could, that would be great, because we got to come and turn around 3 days later and play Liverpool, which is now a pretty huge game. So, and I think by winning the game today, I think put ourselves in a position to make it a pretty meaningful game for us.
I completely agree, and thank you guys so much for watching. We really appreciate it. Make sure to subscribe if you like our content, and look forward to our preview for Monday's game.
Yeah, we'll probably are we going to do Monday's game and then a preview for Liverpool, or are we doing both together?
Sure, we can. Or
we'll decide.
We'll decide.
We don't know yet. We're figuring it out. All right, guys, this was a lot of fun. Please subscribe, and we'll see you soon.
Bye. Love you, Spurs fans.